I think it's significant that I witnessed this destruction by fire of Notre-Dame's spire and all the medieval woodwork inside the cathedral, with really a mere sense of sadness. I was glad that there were no lives lost, but compared to what's going on in the world right now, so many issues, so much devastation and destruction of our planet, even, as well as the life, human life, animal life. It's I think it's significant that a lot of people feel that way, and to such a degree they're even disgusted at the amount of money that's been raised already to rebuild the spire, to repair the fire damage at Notre-Dame, and that's just within days of this catastrophe, as they obviously believe it is, happened. But as I say, on the scale of what is actually going on right now, this isn't a catastrophe, this is a minor incident, which in itself, the very fact that it's a minor incident is evidence of the sheer scale of horror that we are presently facing. And in Western societies, who are even a lot of the poorest of the people of those societies, are experiencing actually the best of what this world can deliver. And obviously that best isn't good enough, because I look around at my society, where people generally, the majority of them, do have homes, they have food, they have all the things they need, but they're still unhappy, because obviously what people need isn't just things, is it? It isn't just the material world that people need. We have an inner spiritual world going on that needs to be validated and accepted and appreciated and serviced, you see. And this society isn't servicing our humanity, and I think the outpouring of grief, especially from the global elite and the leaders of the world, it does expose their connection, their obviously stronger connection to one of their establishment's historical buildings, than they care about other serious issues that are affecting humanity and our planet. And also there's the juxtaposition of what happened at Grenfell in London, and was there an outpouring of grief from the global elite about it, considering in that hundreds of people died and it was a corporate accident? It was down to corporate negligence, a corporate council dealing with corporate construction companies. There was a national outpouring of grief, but there was no international concern shown from the global elite of horrific well, it was a horrific fire that in which hundreds, as far as the evidence really tells us, there was hundreds of people died there. But even with hundreds of people, even with the people that are officially accepted as dying there in that fire, but obviously, you know, the loss here at Notre-Dame is about the loss of history. But what's the point of that history? What is the point of that history if we're at this situation today where the history itself appears insignificant in comparison to, you know, the loss of that history is insignificant in comparison to the loss of what we are losing in terms of our planet, in terms of our rights, in terms of our dignity, in terms of the law, in terms of respect. What is the point of a history that is the foundation of what's happening today? Is it a history to be thankful for? Is it a history to be appreciated and revered? Or is it a history that has planted the seed of the rot that it is now exploding in its fullest capacity, literally blooming its misery on our planet? Now, my friend here, H. Thomas Ackerman, he's an artist, and he has been very, like so many of us, has been very disturbed by what's been going on at Fukushima, the obvious cover-up. They've even admitted now that it was a cover-up. And he's made a very interesting video here, and he's comparing the outpouring of grief for Notre-Dame to Fukushima. You know, I mean, this is a horrific event that has led to poisoning, pollution of our Pacific Ocean, pollution of Japan and the people and the life there, pollution to our whole planet. We were lied to. TEPCO have admitted that it was a level 7 event right from the start, and we were being told it was a level 3. You know, that is a very serious issue, that a nuclear power plant on our planet can suddenly experience this catastrophe, 3 meltdowns, 1 fuel pool blown up by all accounts, if not also a reactor, spreading MOX plutonium all over the place. I mean, it's deadly, MOX plutonium. Google it. It's worse than plutonium, you know, than the plutonium that it's originally created from. It is terrible. It's terrible stuff, and many times more potent than regular plutonium. And when those explosions happened and people could see it with their own eyes, they were nuclear explosions, 2 of them. But people carried on going along with the official lines that it was only a level 3 catastrophe. And these explosions were just hydrogen explosions, when everybody could see that it wasn't. When pieces of plutonium rod from inside a reactor, not from the fuel pool, they've been identified by experts as from inside a reactor. they've been found a mile, 2 miles, 3 miles away from the plant. You're talking serious levels of risk. And plutonium isn't picked up on a regular Geiger counter. So we've seen lots of readings about the place. Oh yeah, well, you know, it's only this much sieverts a year, blah, blah, blah. We'll just raise the limits to what people can be legally exposed to. So we'll raise it from 1 millisievert to, you know, 20 millisieverts. And we'll give everybody, you know, the same level of, the same level of safety net, whereby they will be subjected to the same amount of radiation in 1 year as what was previously the legal limit for a nuclear power plant worker to absorb over 1 year, over 5 years. Yeah, rewind that. Get what I'm saying? That's what they've done. That's what they've done. Blatantly, blatantly. Who is crying about that? Who is concerned about that? Who is mourning for our planet? Who is mourning? Who is in grief? Where are the elites? Hundreds of millions to sort this out. Because humanity as a species did not create and impose nuclear power on this planet. We're talking about the shenanigans and collusions of a few men and women. But let's face it, oligarchical constructions of humanity is what we're dealing with. People committed to war, people committed to division, people committed to profits and power and control, people committed to satisfying an insane agenda of a new world order and fulfilling the horrific prophecies of Revelations. And as I've repeatedly said, people of Nineveh, yeah, those people, where are they? Who turned around and said no to a terrible prophecy. Where are they today in humanity? A humanity that is at war with itself because they want to fulfill. They want to fulfill. You know, look at Jonah. Look at Jonah. He didn't want to go and tell people this prophecy about how bad things will get if they carry on living unlawfully without respect. He didn't want to do it. But some force of power, some energy that we call God, this spirit of intelligence, this spirit of inspiration that moves through us all in a spirit of love and compassion and forgiveness and kindness and mercy, and even through our wrath, will calm us down with understanding and explanation to find the route to peace. And it's a battle that I deal with regularly, you know, because I'm regularly outraged. I'm regularly, and you know, I have what you call meltdowns where I just can't cope with dealing with anything trivial because it all just seems like a waste of time. Because the issues are so pressing, they're so urgent, and instead living trapped in this little domestic world of trivialities that are all so complicated and take up so much time. And I'm finding, you know, I'm snappy sometimes, or I'll just be triggered into expressing anger and upset. And even while explaining that, look, it isn't really this thing, I'm just so upset and I just can't cope. I just can't cope with these things. To be angry at myself for being angry. You know, this is the pain and the torment that this world inflicts on people who live by compassion. That we're constantly compromised to the extent that you know you're a slave. And simultaneously being deprived of everything that your soul is starving for, which is acceptance, friendship, trust, faith, lawfulness, unity. To be recognised as a fellow human being, not judged according to the way I speak, my age, my experiences, my disabilities, blah, blah, blah. Just to hear a shared understanding, to be able to hear and share and pick up and share an understanding, share a light, share a care. So, yes, it is very, very sad what's happened to Notre-Dame. The loss of a historical work of art in celebration of God. So what? Is this the will of God? Is this the will of God? Is this the will of God? This is the will of a species, largely male, a fraction of a species largely male. Established according to an oligarchical construct of what a male is. This is their will. This is their collective will. This is what has come from their universities, their top schools, their top scientists, their top professionals that they have trained, that they have enabled through a system of division and judgment, discrimination, prejudice, in a world at war with itself continually, by these same groups who are all fighting one another for power like wolves in a wolf pack. And that's what I call them, the wolf pack. They don't have to be wolves, you know. Humans are not leopards. We can change our spots. We can suddenly turn around and say, hey, why am I living like a wolf? I'm not a wolf, I'm a human. Oh, I'm starting to get some understanding about this. I hadn't realised. People can become liberated from that madness. You know, that's my understanding. That's where forgiveness comes in. To allow people who've been indoctrinated over centuries to following these paths that were laid out for them before they were born, to living out this narrative and this script that was not written by the hand of God, but that by the hands of men who are collectively operating criminally, and who continually act in ways that allow them to enact their crimes, to grow rich and powerful through their crimes, to have ever more degrees of power and control. Because for centuries they've been living outside of the law. We all know it. We all know it. People have had revolutions only to see them usurped, and the same powers coming in again and again and again. The criminality and this level of criminality by today has got so bad on every level, and especially ignorance, that this can happen. There's not an outpouring of grief from the whole world, that every world leader hasn't flocked to Japan's shores to help. But then we come to Notre-Dame and it's an international crisis. So, you know, again, as I've always said, friends strengthen each other. And I was going to make the Notre-Dame video today because it's Easter, and the things that I'm referring to are about the resurrection of Jesus within ourselves. To connect with ourselves, to connect to the self within, is to connect to Jesus, the true self. The true self that will accept guidance, that will recognise true guidance, that will not fall victim to the xenophobic confusions and fears that this whole world order is feeding on. You know, and yes, the Fukushima analogy is absolutely spot on. Spot on. And you can see he's at this moment, he's an artist, he's working on a new series of, well, the development of nuclear power. And as he explains in this video, is to show how it can actually flower. And it will flower if we recognise the severity of the error of our ways and the terrible damage that is being inflicted against our planet. We can learn to do better. We can learn to live better. We can flower, as opposed to what? The power, this abuse of power, a criminal power, will destroy us and itself. Because it has no purpose. It doesn't make sense. It is literally like a cancer that will just feed and feed and feed for as long as you give it food, until the point that the host can no longer feed it and stay alive. Bang! Oh, then it's died. What is the point of it? What is the point of it? And is it any wonder that that level of criminality is actually facilitating, encouraging, causing cancer? Not just to us, but to every creature. It is a self-perpetuating, self-fulfilling prophecy. Are we terminally ill? Are we terminally ill? Or is there hope for a cure? Who is going to attend to our mother that gave us birth? Our planet. Who is going to attend to the needs of the little children that we have brought into this world? Why did we bring them into this world? What are we teaching them? So that's my message for Easter. And I feel that there's no room to be optimistic. The prognosis is pessimistic until the moment that people start recognising the problem and start getting involved in fixing it. Then we can have optimism. At the moment, it's looking very pessimistic, because it's looking like the patient is not going to be receiving the attention that they need, because the living body of our planet is not deemed as important as the material creations and aspirations of its ruling criminal elite. So I do wish everybody a very happy Easter, and I do hope that you connect with Jesus within and experience the true resurrection of Jesus on our planet. As I've always said, not just one man, one human, but in everybody.